And welcome back! It is our fourth last game of the stream until we hit the qualifiers. Ninjas in Pyjamas going up against Cloud9, our second best game of the day!
Woo!
Yeah, our first one was meant to be Secret versus Cloud9, and that didn't really go the way we thought it was going to. So, this one a little bit closer, more hype! Ninjas in Pyjamas! Hi, welcome back, CC&C. I gave you an extra C. I don't know what that was meant to be.
Cucumber.
Cucumber?
Yeah.
Cucumber.
Cool, calm, cucumber, and collected.
Cool as a cucumber is a great phrase.
It is.
It is.
That's why I said it.
Yeah, but then you'll be C-A-I. No.
I.
No.
Cack.
Yeah, cack. You'll be cack. You'll be cack.
That's what it would be.
We're not calling you cack.
Alright, I don't. That's weird.
I guess that's just odd. But speaking of odd, hey, would you look at it? We have ourselves a different start. Okay, Lone Droid's in there. But Earth Spirit, Sniper,
Evoker Band 2, Centaur. Somebody's gonna play Centaur.
Or they could not, because we hate Centaur.
Centaur's better than like Slardar. I don't want to see Slardar anymore.
No, I'm okay with Slaughter.
Oh, he's so boring, man. Oh my gosh!
It's Slaughter Doxia, boys and girls! Slaughter Doxia!
And they're gonna pick Jug!
It's gonna happen to Jug already! After we look at the first two bands of Ninja Associate, we were both, before we even turned our mics, I was like, oh, we're gonna have something different, are we? No, but yeah, we are. It will be the Centaur coming in for Cloud9.
Nice.
Things will mix up slightly, and very justified. You do not let the Invoker through for either of these teams.
Does Baby Knight play Invoker?
Baby Knight used to play a little bit of Invoker. I don't think anyone would ever say he was an amazing Invoker.
Because I haven't seen anyone ban it against Cloud9. I've also just never seen the pick it.
I remember some of the games when Baby Knight first started playing, he played Invoker, but after that, not much at all.
Okay.
But those were around the same time as Invoker kind of fell out of favor for a while.
Yeah, Qualifier.
Qualifier definitely.
Yeah, that's like one of his like signature like 3-4 heroes.
Yeah. Interesting to see like which one he wants to turn to this time around.
Yeah, they take the okay.
Answer that question.
All right, nice. We got a different draft.
Oh. I've seen this already once.
Are they gonna do that Veno crap?
It's Veno crap. If C9 don't ban the Veno in the second phase, they didn't watch the game from earlier today.
Yeah, they did. They did it one other time. I don't know if you were casting that game. Was I casting with you that other game?
It wasn't with me, but it was on day one. Where,
yeah, they did the same Alchemist Veno, and they like run down buildings. It's really obnoxious.
But the hilarious thing was when they ran it earlier today. So Hani basically set up a base on top of the Dire secret shop. And control the bounty rune
there, yeah.
And Ogre Vajai would move over every time to make sure that they got the other bounty rune. So you would have Qualifier run up.
Oh, there it is. They watched the game.
Grab the bounty rune from the top, and you then TP to the tier 2 tower in mid, and then grab the other bounty rune, which was lower. And he would do this every 2 minutes. It was this cycle of, like, I'd go up into the jungle, I'd farm up a camp, I'd grab the bounty rune, I'd then TP down, grab the bounty rune. And this cycle just continued. And he ended up having an armlet and a radiance by 12 minutes, I think it was.
Yeah, that's difficult to deal with.
Yeah, it was impossible. They ended up winning the game in 19 minutes.
Yeah.
There was like 3-4 minutes extra time to actually deal with. Like, we ended up like 24 overall. But at 19 minutes, they took the racks and never really left.
Yeah. The Centaur Rubik are not great versus the Alchemist. They're not like super amazing at pressuring. They may look to get more of like a dual lane hero to go with the Centaur. There's still Coddle in the pool. That hero's pretty good at dual lanes.
I wouldn't believe you.
He's also pretty good. He's pretty good with Centaur too.
You know, Coddle is such a bad hero. I don't know why you keep going on him, man. Like seriously.
You know, he's got a blast. It pushes lanes.
Yeah. Hey, Coddle Blast was the greatest way to ever call that. That was. You didn't even realize the joke you made then.
Hmm.
I always got flamed for using the word Coddle Blast. That's what I used to refer to as Illuminate.
Why is that? Why'd you get flamed for that?
Because people flame me for a lot of things. That was just one of the ones they've latched onto. But I used some stupid names. Chikuchi. I was finding short terms for different names of abilities.
What'd you call it, like Coochie or something?
Shuki.
that's dumb. I'd flame you for that.
Yeah. I can understand that, but I try to think of like different ways you can make things like short. and Shuki was one of the ones.
Ah,
I also was a very lazy Australian, so pronouncing anything was beyond me. So something like Shikuchi was beyond me. Until I moved to Europe and started actually listening to Europeans say shit. I'm like, wow, they actually use their tongue.
I don't know if they can speak English either.
Well, they at least enunciate and they...
Do they? It doesn't even sound like Swedes are speaking words.
That's... Wow! I like this. You know, I actually like the Ukrainian language most of all. It's like soda, just pops.
I haven't heard it.
10 seconds remaining.
Kiev major, bro?
I'm not gonna be there.
Tune into the Russian stream.
5 seconds remaining.
Technically, you are listening to it, except they're speaking Russian, but with the Ukrainian inflection. Different language, but the Russian stream does that. Terrorblade! What a surprise! Slaughter! What a surprise!
They're very good versus Alchemist and Juggernauts. Pretty good versus Juggernaut. It's a lot of physical damage. He doesn't really deal with Terrorblade well, just as a hero. And obviously hates getting amped. The only thing is, a lot of times, if the Slaughter doesn't have like a nice dual offlane, if he gets punished in the lane, then he kind of does nothing versus the Alchemist. He can either do like a whole lot versus the Alchemist, he has a good start and he runs around and amps the Alchemist all the time, or he'll fall behind early and then he like gets a really late 6. Alchemist already has like Radiance and farms a Manta, and then he's like mega useless.
But this can happen a lot. Like I saw Synderen actually having the same kind of issue early on with his Slaughter. Like we had this Slaughter and Ogre that was just roaming around the map, and they both crapped each other off, like because no one was getting any kind of levels, no one was getting any kind of experience, and then the Terrorblade, which was on the team, so the Alchemist on the team at that point, just pushed. So the tower started falling, and all of a sudden you had a Blink Dagger on a Slaughter. You had the Initiation, you had Tranquils and a Blink Dagger, and didn't need anything else. Did a hell of a lot of work with just that. So it was more about the tower push that helped him catch up. And then the space in the lanes, obviously. And Winter Wyvern, one of Honey's greatest and worst heroes at the same time.
Yeah, I think this is a super dope Wyvern game. They needed something for this Terrorblade because there aren't really any offliners that are like particularly amazing versus Terrorblade. Like Axe is like okay, but they would definitely get a ban that. I actually ban Batrider instead. Does Trixie play Axe that frequently? I don't recall them really picking Axe.
Trixie kind of plays everything.
Dire team pick.
But Axe is not up there in the specialties for him, I don't think.
I don't think it's
like how hard is it to play the Axe, really? Jump off, go jungle, and then come out with a whole bunch of items and blink people.
Yeah, I don't think it's that great with an Alchemist, though, because you kind of have two heroes that want to be farming random jungle camps. You have a Winter Wyvern who's like this hero that's... I guess it's okay in that regard, because you have a Winter Wyvern, this hero that's like likes to defend offline towers by just sitting there and spamming Splinter Blast, so it gives your Axe like room to...
Yeah, Doc's here.
Okay, yeah, so that's what they ran with the Alchemist the last 2 times, I believe.
Yep.
It puts a lot of pressure on the safe lane, so it keeps the Terrorblade from rotating around. It does well versus Terrorblade in the lane. And like you keep the Terrorblade just trapped there, and it defends your tower just by virtue of the lane always being pushed in.
Yeah.
You know, it makes it hard for this Terrorblade to like, he's also, you know, he just has a slow, so it's kind of hard to kill the Darkseer.
Yeah.
They do have the lift into Crush, though.
Yeah, Rubik and Slaughter can do something about it, but then you're committing both of your supports down to that bottom lane to stop it. And the Necrophos, actually a strat which Ninjas in Pyjamas, I believe, were the ones who ran.
Yeah, they ran the Necrophos with the Alchemist.
Yeah. And this time around, it's the opposite way.
So I wonder if they're doing Terrorblade mid. I think that would be much better. You do not want this Terrorblade stuck in that lane versus the Darkseer. I think Terrorblade mid is pretty good. You don't care at all about Acid Spray. It does like 3 damage because you have like 15 armor or something. Insane. The Necrophos does quite well versus the Ion Shell because you can, you know, spam out the wave at the whatever the Q is called, Death Pulse, and heal up as well once you get like 2-3 levels in it. The regen is like plenty enough. And you're also a hero that like doesn't get roamed on very easily by like an ogre or something like that, so like the dual lane won't really bother you so much. And the Terrorblade, you know, once he gets a few levels, the Alchemist likes to start leaving the lane, and he can actually pressure the tower and force the Alchemist to be there, or the Winter Wyvern, and then, you know, it just opens up options for Cloud9. It forces NIP to pull heroes around from places they potentially don't want to be. So I think if they're running this TB mid, it's actually a really good way to deal with this Darkseer pick. And yeah, it looks like it will be TB mid. Baby Knight's on it.
See how aggressive he can be, and see if they can stop the movement. Like, this is the only thing I really want to see, is if they can stop the movement of Qualifier. Because if they can do that, then I got a funny feeling this NIP lineup is just going to completely fall apart. Because then Qualifier is just going to become food in the fight when he really needs to be tanky and survivable.
Yeah, a lot of it this game I think has come down to lanes, because it's, you know, both teams sort of have this 5-man centric lineup. Although I think Cloud9 scales considerably better. Alchemist, as the game goes later and later, scales pretty poorly. He gets all his items very, very quickly. So you're strongest whenever you're 30, 35 minutes or something, and then past that, you're not getting any more items. So the hero just naturally falls off because everyone else is getting items. So it's a pretty crummy late game hero compared to like a Terrorblade. Necrophos is even pretty decent late game here. Also good versus the Winter Wyvern, obviously, because you don't care about the Cold Embrace. I think it's called. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the bot lane will be pretty nice for this Necrophos. Darkseer will maybe get XP. We'll see if they go for some sort of dual lane or not. I think they may.
Eventually, they're gonna have to move them off the bottom lane anyway, and then the Darkseer can get experience.
Yeah, I think they may start the slaughter down bottom and try and zone this Darkseer out of lane early on, and then eventually they'll rotate like you said, and the Darkseer will get experience. But by that point, the Necrophos will be getting like close to level 6, and once he's 6, then the Darkseer can just die to just those two heroes alone, the Rubik and the Necrophos. Once they've hindered this Darkseer a little bit, I think the slaughter may head up to top and help out the Centaur. Because the Jug Winter Wyvern is not killing a Centaur level 1, especially if he gets like the Poor Man's Shield. They're just gonna tickle him a little bit.
Can you switch the lane? Like, is it easier if you then just ran the Darkseer on the top up against the Centaur and let the Iron Shield try and burn that Hester Joe?
They could. I think that would be better for the Centaur, probably worse for the Juggernaut. I don't know if Juggernaut's Winter Wyvern. Winter Wyvern's just generally a pretty garbage aggressive tri-lane hero.
I'm just thinking like if it's just the sustain, heavy healing, what have the Cold Embrace, and then you can just keep going up against the Necro. So you got the more sustain. Yeah,
I think kind of the issue is that they want this Ogre camping mid with the Alchemist, because the Terrorblade is going to beat on him level 1 like really hard with the Metamorphosis. He's going to have like a rough time. And like because the Winter Wyvern's Q is on such a long cooldown, he doesn't. It's 50 seconds, it's almost an entire minute. He doesn't really do anything after the first like 10 seconds of lane, and then he does something for a little bit, 5 seconds after, a minute later.
Like wondering if he just goes like into the Cold Embrace early on. But Arctic Burn is still such a great level 1 ability.
Yeah, I think you have to get Arctic Burn level 1. If you get the Cold Embrace, then you're just like a walking,
heal.
Yeah, you're just a walking heal. It's like skilling the E level 1 on Dazzle. It's like not something you really want to do. Unless you're shoving the lane to pull, but
yeah. Oh boy, this guy's still not in.
Who went to the bathroom or something? TS issues, sure, dude.
Cloud9, need more strategic time.
GG, we lost.
I actually got color in these emotes. I never understand this when we pause. Sometimes it gets color, sometimes there's not. If you're looking for the other techies, he's up here. I see he's staring down. I'm like, are you missing him?
A penny saved is a penny earned.
Hani the businessman.
What a legend.
What do we got on the other side? Wait, where's it? Okay.
Was he the one that got monster poured on him at that land?
Yes, by Eternal Envy.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's pretty cool. That one right there. Not him getting monster poured on him. That's not cool.
Nah, that's trying to connect the two of them.
Nah.
Or are you thinking this is pretty cool because it's also bugged?
Yeah, it's like bugged. It's all.
This isn't meant to be.
What even is that? It's like it looks like nunchucks.
Nunchucks.
He has nunchucks.
Yeah, you can get nunchucks on Axe.
Can you use them?
I don't think so. I think it looks like nunchucks.
They're just like on your belt or something.
Okay, maybe it's not a bug.
What are those?
We need his axe set now.
Yeah. Somebody hook us up.
Okay.
What the heck is that?
What else have we got? Like.
Oh.
Okay.
Raffles.
We can have inappropriate things. Really, baby knight? That's just so generic.
Ice is not always. Yeah, it's pretty generic. That's lame.
That's so generic.
That's lame.
The last one.
Alright,
well done.
Cloud9's a bunch of memers.
We have a winner for inappropriate.
Cloud9's a bunch of memers. He didn't actually start Poor Man's Shield on Baby Knight. I've never seen that before. You almost always start Poor Man's Shield in this Terrorblade.
Wait, he's running mid with no PMS?
Yeah, he started Wraithbound. It's kind of crazy. You don't normally see that.
Does it make sense up against Qualifier? Like, I suppose he's not going to take any straight direct damage, but does PMS block?
I mean, you want the PMS against the creeps, so you can bop them with Metamorphosis. I don't know how good this is. We'll see how it pans out.
Qualifire's going to break the smoke and everybody retreat. Everybody run away for Ninjas in Pyjamas.
Yeah, Trixie immediately runs down to bottom. They're gonna have to click war with Ace. Yeah, Ace is like, alright, I'm gonna hit you when you run up there. We're gonna click, dude. You ready?
Qualifier needs a bounty rune.
The
This is actually not the first time. Like, we saw Ninjas in Pyjamas in their first game today actually just abandon their runes. Like, they didn't really look to try and contest it. They were happy to let it go. But, yeah, Ace will take some considerable damage on the bottom.
Yeah, he body blocked Trixie so he get the rune. That was pretty nice. You know, it's 100 gold. It's like whatever. It's a lot of HP for 100 gold, but I think it's worth it. Because, you know, he's a Necrophos. He doesn't really get harassed out of lanes.
Trixie's going to do the sneaky little stuff. Steal the creep wave, go on his own merry way, while Cloud9 is currently running a mid-tri lane. Against Ninjas in Pyjamas, they'll pick up Qualifier as a double crush. Synderen can't
He's
really
dead.
harass this out, and Qualifier is being manhandled with Baby Knight early triggering the Metamorphosis. They have enough damage just to kill the Alchemist. Knowing he doesn't have Acid Spray, they could force the issue then.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. They're just like, they're straight up just tri-laning mid, level 1.
Yep.
I think that's...
Is this just when you have to bring in Honey, or...?
I mean, I don't think you could do this like tri-lane versus tri-lane thing. That's like super weird for NIP. He's waiting in base to... Alright, tell me
You know what
about...
Rise wants to do? He wants to pick up Synderen and throw him into the river.
Yeah, I think this is actually a pretty cool play from Cloud9. NIP always does this stupid, like, they pick Ogre and they dual lane mid. It's like really annoying. I'm sure Baby Knight was like, can I please not get dual
Here
lane?
we go again. Blink Crush. This time though, Baby Knight doesn't actually have his bigger ability, but he's getting in front of him. So Qualifier still has to take the damage, and they're ignoring Synderen. He's literally meaning nothing to them right now.
Yeah, this is a pretty cool way to deal with this Ogre always sitting mid, being a pest. You just tri-lane and you don't care about it.
Yep.
And, you know, eventually they're going to have to lead the lane because Baby Knight's going to win XP, but for now, Qualifier is not having a fun time. That first blood is pretty huge, and this Ogre is just completely useless. He's going to move down to bottom now, probably try and get this bounty rune, but he really has had, like, no impact. And, you know, the first 5 minutes of the game are Ogre's strongest, where he tries to win this Alchemist's lane. Qualifier is used to getting, like, complete free farm. They are not giving that to him. I think that's, like, it's a really good adjustment from Baby Knight. I mean, from Cloud9.
There is one big upside. Actually, then again, maybe it's not. I thought Trixie was going to get a lot more CS in the bottom lane. He's at least found experience. And there's enough that his Soul Ring isn't going to be that delayed. And in fact, they're coming in for any kind of harassment up against Ace, but the creep just got dragged up to the range creep. So
Yeah.
Trixie's almost finished up on his Soul Ring, but it's the fact he's got the high levels up to the Iron Shell, as opposed to Trixie's last Arctia game where he didn't have any room to breathe, let alone get experience.
Yeah, Ace is having a totally free lane. He's out of regen, but he's up to level 4 now, so one more level gets up to the level 3 Death Pulse.
No, Era's not dead. The healing ward will keep him alive.
Yeah. Uses a salve, but not the biggest of deals. Astajo is getting, you know, basically uncontested XP here. 8 CS as well. He's doing about as good as the Darkseer. Has the Poor Man's Shield now as well. And with Era not having enough mana for the spin, if he pops the Mango and uses the spin, then the Centaur will have like a super free lane because they won't have kill potential anymore. They can't zone him out. The only thing they can do is fully commit for a kill here. And the Arctic Burns on cooldown. They may try and like go for a kill here, or at least force him out of lane. Looks like they're kind of trying for it, but he's just so tanky.
Yep. They don't have the damage output required. Baby Knight's scuttering himself over. It looks like they're about to trigger off the shrine. Get them back up again, and Qualifier left. He went Iron Talon, he's now just run off into the jungle, and he's abandoned the middle lane.
Yeah, this is what you have to do versus this Alchemist, and you know, in a game like this, you're versus Slaughter, you're versus Terrorblade, you want to be ahead on the Alchemist. This is not a game where you can be, you know, straggling a little behind, play kind of catch up, and eventually get up to that point where you're, you know, the super strong Alchemist. You need to have like a good start from the get-go, and they may even pressure this tower here. He has, you know, just still 1 point in the Metamorphosis, but maybe that was his idea actually with going this this Wraith Band level 1, is he can get the really fast Aquila, gives all the creeps that armor aura, and they're going to take this tier 1 at 4 minutes, and Hani just isn't in the position to really defend. He doesn't want to TP in and just leave Hestajo up here solo. Synderen's going to
the opposite lane which we normally see pushed in. You look for the bot lane that Radiant pushes in and takes that tier 1 tower. Not the mid lane, especially when Neuer's running interference on Qualifier for keeping him out. But Qualifier has the bottle, he's got the level 2 Acid Spray, but they're throwing Synderen around. They can turn the attention towards the Ogre Magi, finally saying, yes, you mean something, you mean gold on legs. And Rise can solo kill him.
2
seconds.
They both have boots.
1 second.
Juke Synderen. Juke. Ah, no jukes.
but they've lost the damage now. Because they did the chase, there's not enough damage to kill off the tier 1 tower straight up.
I think they're still just going to continue pushing these waves in and force Qualifier to be here, because he's not farming. Like, he's getting like maybe 1 or 2 assets, like if he's lucky that with the asset spread, but he's not like actually farming anything. You look at his net worth, and Alchemist not being on top of 5 minutes with an Ogre is unheard of.
I very rarely shift the graph to actually like look at net worth, but I did a couple of minutes ago just to show like how far Qualifier is behind. So the tier 1 tower will drop, Baby Knight will take that one, he's almost got his treads up and running, and in 60 seconds you know he's going to be pushing the top of the bottom lane as well. Restrict the area of farm that comes with the Alchemist.
Yeah, and with that tier 1 mid down, it gives Terrorblade like a whole lot of free space. It's so hard for him to pressure him now. He can shove out the lane and just go farm the jungle wherever he wants. And they also don't know where he's going to be rotating, because he can, the lane will push so far in, he could be metamorphosing on top or bottom, to be smoked or just farming.
Top. The whole stomp does this work, the double edge as well, but Era starts to spin, Hesiod doesn't have enough life to survive. And Ryze didn't have enough damage to put him down, it was only a level 2 on the Fade Bolt. A little bit of a miscalculation coming in from Cloud9 on the kill. I thought they had a Era, and now Ryze is in way too far. Qualifier rotates over. He was just here to farm up a couple of creeps. Now Cinderin finds the kill onto Ryze. And Noya slowed up by Hani. Juggernaut's too far away, but back in comes Hester. So 4 heroes from Ninjas in Pyjamas currently sitting on this top lane.
Yeah, they were trying to farm the stack, I think, for the Alchemist, securing this bounty rune. Is this the thing he was doing? He takes that rune, he boards down here.
Yeah, and then just fills up the bottle for 2 charges and then goes back out again.
Seems pretty good.
Same shit, different day. Well, same day.
Same day. It seems pretty good, to be honest. You commit 50 gold, but you're getting more than that with the bounty rune because you're an Alchemist.
The only downside is you can't just TP into a lane and join them, so you're basically fully committing to farm. Noya, high Cinderin. They set a bit of a trap for this. Baby Knight actually triggers his metamorphosis already. So Cinderin's on the run. They need a secondary crush of Stim 1 second time, and they get it. And that's the kill onto Cinderin. But Baby Knight needs to create a lot more of himself, and then what? Move to bottom tier 1 tower? Ace can push it in now.
Maybe. They might try and hit it a little bit. I don't think they're going to full commit for this tower. As Hani is moving down here, and you can't make a move like that slow with the Terrorblade against a Winter Wyvern. You have to basically gank the tower. And I think, Baby Knight's build, he's going for this 1-3-1, so he's obviously more committed to farming. And, he just commits it here, commits the ults, the Metamorphosis to get the quick kill. But I think he's content just farming, and I don't know how, happy NIP are with this. I think Cloud9 is, quite happy with the Terrorblade just farming. He can get up to, his level 7, level 8, and then he can potentially rotate and take a tower, or at least force the Winter Wyvern to be there. The Necropost is always going to be pressuring this bottom tower, has the Veil now as well, so it's almost impossible to kill him. 1000 HP with, all that armor that you get from the Veil, as well as the heals. So I think Cloud9 are just constantly going to keep these lanes in. The Juggernauts and the Darkseer are both kind of stuck there, which is not something you typically say about Darkseer. He's not a hero that often gets stuck in a lane, but he definitely is in this case. The Necropost is constantly going to push this in, and he has to be there to deal with it. The Necropost can't, the Winter Wyvern, you don't want to trap in lanes. You want him to be sort of a response hero for whenever Cloud9, the Terrorblade shows up to a lane to push. You want him to be able to pour it in and defend that lane.
Trixie looks so scared. When he's low on life coming in close on a Necro who has his ulti up and running, it's not a safe place to be. And it looks like Ryze and Noya, they're going to try and make the top lane the less safest place to be for Ninjas in Pyjamas. Rotate up, around, and behind the Dire Observer Ward. So they're looking for the top lane fight. They want to keep Era low. They don't want to let him get him anywhere near that Dominator for the Juggernaut.
Yeah, Hani immediately TP's up here. He has a Clarity running, which is really, really good. So he'll have 2-3 more Splinter Blasts in the tank. But they know.
Yeah, they're killing the healing ward.
No TP.
Baby Knight's fine as long as he takes the tower.
Yeah.
Again, there's no... Oh, okay, they're actually TPing in. Juggernaut picked up, throwing down.
This is risky.
There's no amplification. As, well, more support. Still on the way. Hani with a Splinter Blast to take care of Baby Knight's illusion, so that damage is gone too. But both Hester Joe as well as Ryze, they found Cinder in the tree lines, but Era moves over. Quick Omni Slash, that'll take care of the Rubik, and then into a spin. Chasing down Noya, the Darkseer wall is down for Trixie. No one really walked through it, however. So there's no real buff up that comes from this, and with the Winter Wyvern down, and the rest of NiP sort of in retreat back behind the tower once again, Baby Knight can continue the push.
Yeah, his Metamorphosis is down now. It was only level 1, so he has 4 points in the illusion, so they do...
Oh, he's got the movement speed. The Surge is there too. The Crush. It didn't catch Cinderin as well, but he's looking over towards Hester Joe. Hester Joe needs to hide. He needs a Tranquil Boost to start having an effect.
Hani TP's in, is forced to run away again. That's unfortunate, having to use the TP like that. They could potentially just port down the bottom afterwards and maybe take that tower.
It's like he wants a Splinter Blast to push the wave back. Maybe that's just the one way he can stop this push.
Yeah, they're committing so hard to this tower. I guess they're buying some time for the Alchemist, but they're bringing a lot of resources here. And it's, you know, a tower that can be very risky to defend, and it's very easy for them to like just wrap around and kill heroes, as we saw. Like that last trade was definitely something Cloud9 is perfectly okay with. They got the Necrophos involved in the fight, which, you know, you really want to do in this hero. It's not a hero you just want to sit around, and yeah, that's exactly what they can do. The Winter Wyvern TP top, so they know, hey, you can't really defend these lanes. This Necrophos isn't scared of Jug at all, and so now we can, you know, start pressuring this bottom lane while TB farms up across the jungle, waiting for his meta to come back up, and then he can join Ace to pressure this bottom tower. Cloud9's making really good movements around the map, and I think the Winter Wyvern porting up there was a pretty big mistake, actually.
At the same time, Wyvern now having his curse available might give Cloud9 a little bit more pause when they go for these pushes. Not to mention, too, Qualifier, as you said, like, you got a lot of space, up to 5.9k on the net worth to the 4.9k of your Necro. So there is money rolling into the bank accounts of Ninjas in Pyjamas. It's no longer the Alchemist being behind. It was Era getting a lot of space on the bottom lane to farm up as well. All these things are slowly and steadily working for Ninjas in Pyjamas.
Yeah, I think sort of the only thing about the Alchemist being like really the only farmed hero on NIP this game is that this is not really a game where an Alchemist can just win the game on his own. He definitely needs a supporting cast. When you versus a Necrophos, you versus a Slaughter or a Terrorblade, you're going to get beat down as an Alchemist. And if you don't have people backing you up, then they're going to kill you super quickly. Now, they do have the Winter Wyvern, whose curse is obviously extremely good versus the Terrorblade and versus the Slaughter, but you know, if you're just walking up, you're trying to hit these buildings, you're going to... It's gonna get rough.
I know it hurts, man, but people probably didn't hear what you said when
Yeah,
you take the mic away.
Alright, yeah, I didn't even realize. Well, that wasn't important. I forgot what I said anyway.
Alright, bottom lane push is coming in. Baby Knight's Metamorphosis off cooldown, level 3 up on it. Rise and Ace right behind him. And Darkseer just tries to make more copies, if possible. Baby Knight's range is still okay, like he doesn't have to go in range of the Darkseer wall in order to attack the tower. So the wall's just a little bit too far out, so fortification has to be used. Ace is still waiting for his jump. May have loved this if it came just a minute later, because then he would have his Blink Dagger for initiation, but I suppose they could just be happy with a straight up push.
Yeah, it's taking them a long time to take these towers. They're going to start falling a little bit behind in farm whenever they just keep walking around as 5 heroes like this, but at the very least they're going to get these towers. But Era is trading for mid. I think this isn't the best for Cloud9. Their previous ones, they were, you know,
they want the fight, but the Observer Ward's already on, so Estacho is very clearly scouted out. So this Blink Dagger that he has also just picked up is not happening.
Yeah, they're going to try and defend this mid tower.
Can Era just spin and he can just spin?
Deny. Oh, nice fort. He might actually die. He can ult him.
Ace just to hold him there. So there it flows, and they got enough damage, he'll still die. They don't get the bonus from the kill of killing him with a scythe.
Yeah. Here's a Blink Dagger up now on Ace, though. With Era going down like that, and they get to deny, that's pretty huge. Getting that bottom tower as well. And now they can start moving into Qualifiers jungle, continuing to pressure him. He's actually amped up. Oh! Okay, never mind. He got the relic off. Alright, that would have been bad.
The second relic didn't get transferred over.
No, it's in his backpack.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I mean. Like if it didn't get transferred over.
Oh yeah.
Delay up the radiance. It's around the same time. Like it's still crazy to think. Like the speed that Qualifier had last game, he played the Alchemist, was roughly on this same kind of timing. Like he's about 2 minutes behind with his radiance.
Yeah, I think the big difference is that Necrophos, the Terrorblade, and the Centaur are also like so farmed. Even the Slaughter is gonna have. He already has Blink. It's 13 minutes. And the Slaughter has his Blink Dagger as well as the Centaur. They just have so many ways to start. They have 3 Blink Daggers at 14 minutes. They're gonna head into the Roshan now.
I'm not certain they really have enough damage for this, as Darkseer sends his Iron Shelled Satyr into the pit, and this is gonna waste a large amount of time for Cloud9.
Yeah, I don't think they committed too heavily to that. Nice game sense from Ace, realizing they're probably all bottom. I want to be careful here. Don't want to feed away a kill.
This kill. He's got Vac as well as Wall.
Is he debating? He's debating.
He has to.
Wait,
he
why
actually
did he?
Thunders on Rise.
Oh, he was invis. I didn't realize that.
He had an invis rune. He was burning him down, waiting for the Vac into Wall, so he had the damage to just pop him at the end.
Okay, I thought he was visible. I was like, why did he swap the Rubik?
There's definitely a Viz rune.
Alright. Well, see, it looks like Cloud9, they don't want to give up this tower. They realize how strong they are. They don't want to give up 1 inch to NIP. The Alchemist is farming in the meantime, but they don't really care.
Pass to Joe, the double stun, the follow-up through as well. They have enough damage to kill the Juggernaut. He's cold in phrase for the moment. And then Hani lets the curse go over on the Slaughter. A bit of an optimistic stun out there from Necro. It doesn't do enough work with the scythe to kill off Synderen, so Synderen makes a break for the tree line. It cancels his TP, but Synderen will die to the Death Pulse, if not just the attack from Baby Knight. But it was Ace that got the kill nonetheless. So you lose 2. Yes, you lost the Juggernaut, but from a double crush, it could have been a lot worse for Nip.
Yeah, for sure. They do lose 2 though, and maybe even gonna lose this tower. Winter Wyvern is walking in, so they'll be able to Splinter Blast. But maybe he's got the Yasha. He is dealing a lot of damage on this Terrorblade.
He's wanting to stop this. Puts up the wall, tries to create
Radiance
more
is up.
filter. Qualifier rotates in as well.
He's
Gets
dead.
stun over on Terrorblade. The Centaur is there to help the stomp. Help the stun, help the control through the stomp.
Yeah, this Radiance, he just picked it up, and they wanna fight with this. This is not a game where you can just AFK farm on the Alchemist and it'd be okay.
Concoction again.
That's a lot of acid.
Try farming heroes. That works. And then the tier 1 tower straight after.
Yeah, that was pretty huge for Nip. It was a little bit greedy of Cloud9 to actually try and pressure this tier 2 tower. They knew the Alchemist was close. They saw him get the Relic, so you can figure that he's going to be finishing off that Radiance soon. And you know that if you're pushed up to his tier 2 tower, he's not just going to let you take it for free once he has that Radiance. He's perfectly fine with fighting the Armlet, the Radiance. He does not go down quickly.
What's that coming up? BTs for Ace?
Okay, so they're going to play this mobile game. They want to, you know, they're down to go late game. The Terrorblade, they took a lot of these towers early on. Now he has the Dragon Lance, the Yasha, and they're still going to look for potential moves, I think, with the Metamorphosis, but they're definitely okay with just farming on this Terrorblade. He has had a very good start and has plenty of space on the map, so he's not just confined to his own jungle. And they can look for pickoffs with this Necrophos, the Slaughter.
Oh, they found Synderen. Not certain Stampede was really worth it.
Yeah, he actually held the Necrophos Sword. I think he tried to use it at the last second. Maybe had a little bit of indecision whether he wanted to use it on that kill or not, but does hold it. So they have that extra tool for this tower here. Honey's sneaking around in the trees.
And then Split the Blast destroys so much of the life of the creep wave on the push. Even with Ace, I suppose he can keep it up with the Death Pulse, so Baby Knight's just pushing anyway. So much of him, and without having to trigger Metamorphosis to take out a tower, definitely helps for the later pushes.
Yeah, and they don't want to TP back everybody to defend this tower. It's just so many resources. They're not set up for this where, you know, they don't know where all of Cloud9 are. They could just be smoked around this tower, and they're not smoked, but they are just sitting here, and it's, you know, if you don't have vision of these heroes, it's just too risky to come and try and defend this tower. So instead, they'll just continue to farm up on Qualifier, and you know, they have a farmed Alchemist, but the rest of their heroes are very, very poor, and I think NIP potentially, once they get like the Manta on Qualifier, and he's not so easy to kill with the Amp, they may want to look for some sort of a fight. But it's kind of hard. They don't really have a playmaker. Their lineup is very centered around Alchemist having a great start and 5-manning. That early tri-lane from Terrorblade going back to that, I don't know if they expected that. It put in so much work. Taking that early tier 1 mid had a huge impact.
It's screwed with the timing that Nib normally like to go with. I'm also wondering too if Qualifier needs to change up his build slightly just to deal with the Slaughter. Like if it's worth having a casual plate mill. Just at the start. Like I know he wants to still finish up the Manta style, but
yeah, I think going a plate mill might not be bad. I think you go for the Manta first, and then you can
break the amp off anyway.
Yeah, you breaking the amp off, and then get a casual plate mill afterwards. I think is pretty good. And then go into something like the Octarine. You know, just standard Alchemist items. But Cloud9, they're not gonna let this game slow down. They're not gonna let the Alchemist get 6 items. They're gonna be the aggressors, not let MP make any possible moves.
They're fighting on bottom lane, up against the almost temporary Chen. Hero gets destroyed. Synderen starts his TP out. There's an extra stun that comes in from the side. So 2 heroes lost as Hani has to hide in the tree lines. No TP scroll available, but he does have that Shadow Amulet.
Cloud9 is just so mobile. That bot's pickup is paying like massive dividends. The Necrophos can farm up these aggressive lanes, farm up in the top lane like super aggressively, and then just be anywhere on the map. And they're really just abusing how, you know, bad NIP's catch is. Their best catch hero is the Darkster potentially once he gets a Blink Dagger, but that's not really catch. That's more of team fight. So they basically have, you know, free access just pushing these lanes wherever they want, and they're actually going to commit to Roshan. They have the amp. The Rubik has Bloodlust. Wow, what a steal. That actually makes a huge difference. They're going to kill this so much quicker because of that.
Baby Knight go to town, but Trixie won't let this happen. He's got Surge off cooldown, so if he wants to, he can run in nice and quickly.
Yeah.
But more support's also coming in from the Centaur, so in goes the Mud Golem. He'll scout out what's what. Sees that Roshan's insanely low, so if they're going to go, now is the time. Trixie knows it too. They've smoked up so they can get him just a little bit closer out of range of the Observer wards, but Cloud9, they stalled up a little bit close to the end of Roshan. Metamorphosis got another couple of seconds left on it. Hester Joe, he's the man on the front lines. Roshan still down at 600. Do they go in for this one? Harney's in the neighborhood. Arctic Burn just comes off cooldown now. Hasn't used it yet, but
he got bashed.
He's looking over towards Ash. Baby Knight, he'll finally do the job. He has Roshan. Omni Slash almost fully focused down on Rise after he bounced off Hester Joe, who'll get the follow-up stun into Era, but this fight's in two different parts right now. The concoction stun on top of Noya. Koip was able to take care of him. Hester Joe will fall as well. Cloud9, they were the ones meaning to take Roshan and gain the advantage in this game, and now they've lost 4 heroes and Baby Knight's on the run.
Yeah, that was pretty risky from Cloud9 committing all the way into that Roshan, but they had already used the Metamorphosis, and they knew if they backed off that the NIP would definitely take it once the Metamorphosis...
They know the courier's coming. It flew over the top of the Observer.
Bonk.
It had the Manta Star recipe on it.
Oh wow, that's pretty costly. That's going to be 3 minutes where he doesn't have the Manta on Terrorblade. He had that Aegis as well, so... They probably wanted to use that with the Manta. They'll still have a small window, but not near as big because of that courier going down.
Yeah, only 3 minutes of it. Synderen sees the double TPs arrive. Quick stun over on Noya, and they'll just get the hell out of there, Synderen.
Yeah, he is dead.
I don't know if Alchemist even really help him, or if he should help him. Support is in the neighborhood, but one last attack from Ace will finish the job.
Qualifier almost got scouted out there by the Slaughter, but he should be fine. Just continuing to farm up. Already level 19 on the Alchemist.
Here we go again. Take Bounty Rune, move down south, farm for 15 seconds, pick up next Bounty Rune. It's rinse, repeat, and acid spray.
Yeah, and he's going to get another one as well. The 2 minute mark coming up in a second. Continuing to skyrocket his net worth, but you still have this worry of Alchemist way above, and then 3 C9 heroes, and then more NIP. And
you at least have some good acronym buffs which he can share out. So you're still going to get some good stats if you give it over to the Juggernaut, not to mention the upgrade to his Omni.
Yeah, it's definitely nice, but I don't think the Aghanims will make, like... I don't think it's going to make the difference between them winning a mid-game fight or not. I think late game it could... You know, it's kind of like these luxury things. The Ogre Ag's ult, or the Ogre Ag stun, I think a little bit later in the game could make a pretty huge difference, but as of now, I think, you know, Qualifier going to get 6 slot in the next 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And at that point, the NIP really needs to get stuff done, and if they're not, then this Terrorblade, he gets Scotty, he gets Butterfly, the game starts getting progressively more difficult. They even have a Dagon now up on Ace, so increasing that, just like get out the lanes, be spooky, staying off the map a lot, farming with, you know, just Terrorblade illusions and finding these pickoffs, which they're going for now, smoked up by the Shrine.
Now, luckily for NIP, they're not anywhere near the neighborhood. There's just one Wild Wing Ripper moving up. Thanks to that smoke maneuver, they are able to get a very deep ward, Cloud9. And the Dire Side don't have any vision of this. They're just going to start their farm up.
I think they see him with the Ripper.
But the push is on the tier 2 tower anyway. That's why C9 are happy to reveal their position. They came here for the tower. Ace again, snagging that last hit. But Ninjas in Pyjamas dodge the fights, continue their farm over on the Alchemist. He's up to 5.2k. So it's decision time soon for Qualifier where he wants to go with his item build.
Yeah, I would assume most probably be the Octarine core. I think he'll probably need a BKB at some point this game, so probably swapping out his Arma for the BKB. But for now, yeah, it's the Octarine core, probably an armor item next, and then the BKB for his last item. And with that, he'll be basically unkillable, but that only lasts for so long. You're only unkillable until, you know, Cloud9 gets a few more items, and then, you know, that luxury no longer exists.
Cloud9 again are on the hunt, but they're going underneath the Dire Observer Ward. Put down their own Observer Wards, not quite certain if Ninjas in Pyjamas actually saw that happening. He planted it uphill away from the ward, but he was under the ward when he did it. But NIP are going to wrap around. So a big smoke over. You got the fresh ether lens over on Wyvern, so maybe with that extra attack range, he can do something. Qualifier needs a target. He's going to find one. It's Baby Knight in the mid. Realizes that's the real one. That's actually the real Terrorblade. Keep the stun up before he's going to Sunder. They're all backing out to ensure the Aegis Immortal is going to trigger. Without one of their heroes being dropped down low, Hani is still waiting for his chance to go in as Ace jumps over towards Kuiper.
Oh my gosh.
Locked in position. The stuns continue again. The back into a three-man ball.
Ooh.
And they curse on. It's on the Terrorblade, but the damage is negligible for the moment. It was only Neuer and Hester Joe hitting into him. As the fight, it will continue. The Sunder has already been triggered. The Scythe has dropped down. So say goodbye to your Juggernaut. Never even got his ulti up, and Synderon's on the run, being amplified up. The concoction stun. It spills out towards Baby Knight with a Splinter Blast. It's not enough damage, but the slow from Hani is allowing Kuiper just to chase them down and let the Radiance burn do the work. He ticks out on max range of the Radiance. Is there a stun on Rise? Yes, there is, both back and concoction. He'll burn out as well, but it's Hani who finds the kill. Again, Cloud9 coming off worse for wear in these fights, and again, it's Juggernaut who's the one to die.
Yeah, it's exactly what NIP need. Kuiper is just totally unkillable. He was just running around non-stop the whole fight, doing whatever he wanted, just chasing heroes. Ding, 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 hit him a couple of times, and they get away for a little bit, but just continually Radiance burning him down, doubling up the Terrorblade's net worth. Ace, actually.
Yeah, he came underneath the Dire Observer Ward, and Kuiper just keeps the chase going. You've got an extra Mud Golem to lend a stun. Another one about to arrive, so Ace, maybe with Hester Joe, they keep the stuns, they keep the focus over on Ace with a backpack. Now it's Hester Joe who's in too deep. Cloud9, all they want to do was help a friend. Potentially they could have just fed away the Centaur.
Yeah, that was an Ags ulti for the Centaur in the last fight, but it didn't seem to make that much of a difference. They still got it. Yeah, it did some work in the beginning of the fight. I think it protected the Terrorblade from like the Splinter Blast and some other things that probably saved him, but it ended up dying in the end regardless. And they just have to play keep away from this Alchemist now. This is the stage where Alchemist is extremely strong. NIP taking that fight there is huge. Getting the tier 2 mid, getting a couple kills here and there. And they're going to be looking to 5-man, looking to just look for whatever fights they can. They ping the 2-2 bottom, C9 does, thinking, alright, they're going to move down to bottom pretty soon. They shove out top. And Kuiper just disappears off the map, so things are getting a little spooky. They're starting to move around more as a team, and they just want to make sure they don't want to fight into this Alchemist. He's just way too strong right now. 6k gold now. Looks like the Shivas. Alright, so he's got a Shivas.
He needed an armor item as well on top. Just thought he might have actually thought about the Assault Cuirass. And Smoke, right on top of the Observer Ward again. So Ninjas in Pyjamas, this maneuver is very much telegraphed to Cloud9, even though they're not aware of it. And C9 have most definitely backed up. Centaur showing the box of danger inside their own jungle.
Yeah, and Ace actually isn't TPing up the top, so maybe considering about even defending this bottom tower, I feel like it's so hard to Kuiper with the Shivas up. This is like the optimal scenario for NIP to go high ground, I think. Everybody from C9 is here. They're not split pushing any of these lanes. Terrorblade isn't up to the Scotty yet. They're smoking up on Cloud9. It's not just going to let them walk to the high ground. They're going to try and find a fight beforehand.
Do they have enough vision around it? They put the ward on top of the hillside. They caught a glimpse
They
of
broke
the
smoke.
Yeah, actually, yeah, the smoke broke. Just the movement came up to grab the bounty rune. But observers down, sentries from both sides. So Ninjas in Pyjamas. They're holding on the lane for the moment. Still trying to play around the tree lines. Baby Knight comes in, creates more copies of himself. Kuiper, not certain exactly where he wants to go until Neuer jumps in, gets the double crush. Where is that Darkseer wall? The Wyvern is already put down. You've removed the curse from the fight. The Darkseer back wall will be there. Only gets a couple of copies, but then again, the stuns are all on top of Ninjas in Pyjamas. This time it's Hester Joe doing work as well as Neuer. They keep the stuns going, keep Alchemist out of the fight. Now Baby Knight can turn his attention towards the Alch. With no Darkseer, maybe Era. Era's already committed his ulti slash, but it's Kuiper who just turns on. It's not even the Chemical Rage that's doing most of the work here. He's able to outrun them as Chemical Rage is wearing off. He's lost 3 of his own teammates. Can Neuer catch him?
Nah.
No, lets him go.
Doesn't even have mana for the crush. Yeah, and that's really worrying for NIP fans. Whenever, that's like their super strong timing. They have this really nice ward, so they can see you where Cloud9 is moving, and the Saudi somehow gets this. I don't know. That was like miraculous how we got the 2-man crush. They weren't even in vision, and somehow just jumps in, gets this Wyvern and the Ogre, I think it was. They blow up the Wyvern before he does anything. The Necrophil starts off the... Oh, he's dead?
Yeah, he's dead.
Wow, no, maybe not.
Go into ethereal form. Qualifier can't attack him. Prepares the concoction. Needs to keep the vision up. If Ace can juke this, he has a chance. He pushes him away.
That force staff
from Neuer. Ace has the distance, but the Radiance Burn is still beating through.
Woo!
One more Death Pulse, but blinks up. The Stampede straight through the tree lines, and he will BT away to safety.
That force staff was nuts. That was sick. That was pretty huge as well.
Time.
Off of that pick-off, they probably could have gotten a tier 2 and maybe forced a buyback. Actually, he didn't have buyback, so they maybe could have even threatened Rax, gotten a tier 3, which gives them access to the shrines. That force staff actually means a lot. But yeah, the Terrorblade now has the Scotty in line. It's going to start working towards the Butterfly, and like without this Wyvern, that's the most important hero besides the Alchemist for NIP. They need that Winner's Curse for whenever the TB pops his Manta. They can beat up on one of the other heroes. They have the potential heal on the Alchemist if he gets in a sticky situation. Whenever he goes down like that, they just lose so much of their defensive power. Everybody just had to run away from this Terrorblade because they don't have an answer for him when our Wyvern goes down.
Scanning around Roshan begins, and Aghanim Scepter is completed on Necro. So he kept it to level 1 Dagon and finished up the full Ags.
Yeah, down to the 25 cooldown. It's almost necessary to buy that item now, as you're somewhere in your 6th slot as the Necrophos, or you're just only useful in killing one here. You're almost like an LC, but without a stun. Or with a worse stun.
Alright, so Roshan's at maximum spawn time now. Or almost there. So pro teams are very much aware of this. Say hello to our first Aghanim Scepter. Who gets this one?
Probably Ogre, I would say.
He's moving, and the answer is error.
Really? Okay. Yeah, I guess his impact in these fights has been like lackluster at best, and giving him something to buff him up. I guess the stuns wouldn't be super useful either, as Cinderin's kind of just getting pummeled in these fights. He's not in a situation to be able to like walk up and continually just stun people over and over and over again. Era's going for the Diffusal Blade, so they're going to have some sort of an answer for the Ghost Shroud. But he is going to scale a little bit worse without getting the Mjolnir, so they're going to have a little bit slower farming speed. But I think it's okay because he has the Bloodlust to sort of counteract that. But whenever you go with this Diffusal Blade build, you kind of worry about how his damage is going to...
I think they came down far enough that was scattered out. They smoke in, they run onto the Dire Shrine,
Whoa.
but in a 3-man back wall. He'll do his job, they're going to trigger up the Shrine, and then maybe... Okay, they didn't really get the right Terrorblade with that one. The curse was thrown out, so Cloud9, they tank through that. But they haven't found their opening off the back of this smoke maneuver. Creates a little bit of space around Roshan. Means the Shrine is down for the moment too, but the bottom tier 3 tower is kind of being chipped away a little bit by the creep wave of Ninjas in Pyjamas. And Nip is slowly surrounding Cloud9 and regaining position.
Yeah, they wanted to find a pick-off so they could secure the Roshan, but running right up into the Shrine, NIP were ready for him. They're really lucky they didn't lose a whole lot of heroes there. They're actually going to commit for the Rosh because their Metamorphosis is wearing down. Sort of the same scenario as before.
It's difficult. Mandar Illusions continue to go in. Now Qualifier with the Shiva's gun. They found Hester Jones. That's the full Omni Slash with the Ags upgraded. Meaning Era has more than enough damage to kill off the Centaur when he finds him solo. And without the Centaur, this should be Roshan to Nip.
Yeah, no Metamorphosis either.
Unless Neuer goes for YOLO. And maybe that is the play. Run in there, crush, full stuff back out again, but it's too late. Nip's already got it.
Yeah, it's 2 times this game, and they've sort of gotten this pickle where the Metamorphosis has been used, and they were trying to get the Roshan, and they just have to commit to it because if they don't, then NIP get it for free, and instead they just get it both times with kills along with it. Having that Aegis, all the lanes pushed in, NIP may look to try and go high ground here, although it's a little hard. This may be as good of an opportunity as any, although it doesn't look like they're going to go for it immediately. If
they can take a tier 3 town, they'll probably be happier. The ability to get rid of these shrines. But they'll need another pickup before this is possible. So leave some good vision behind and look for a good opening later on. Because they've still got other items, right? You got 4,000 gold over on the Alchemist. If he wants to buy up a fresh Aghanim Scepter, he can go and do that. You got the Force Staff, which has to fly out to Cinderin now. I don't think the Darkseid's got much more. He's got the Blink, a Dominator, as well as this Greaves.
Yeah, the way this game is going, the Alchemist is just sopping up so much farm. The Juggernaut trying to catch up. I don't know how much more the Darkseer is going to get this game. Hex would be really useful. They're a little bit low on lockdown, and as the Terribly gets progressively more and more farm, they're going to need ways to deal with them. So I think, you know, a potential eventual, you know, second Shivas in the Darkseer, a Hex, are items that you kind of look for. Although that will be quite some time before he gets to those tier of items on a Darkseer.
I actually wonder, like, if he gets the Aghanim Scepter upgrade, if the only person he goes for then is Baby Knight to get a copy.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily that bad. Although I don't think the Ags is really the greatest for Darkseer. That'll probably be the last upgrade. What does it even do? It's like so useless, isn't it?
It's just like an upgrade to percentages. Like the older one was the better one. The older one you could create copies of your own teammates inside of the wall.
Yeah.
It was a little bit chaotic, but you could just send like mass illusions.
Yeah.
Fight inside your own wall.
I guess you do the Darkseer one before you do the Winter Wyvern one. The Winter Wyvern one is so useless. That's just perma flap.
Is that what it is? Like it's just like permanent Arctic?
Yeah, it makes it toggleable.
Ah.
That's what you do whenever you go carry Wyvern.
Well, I suppose Hani would like it for vision.
Yeah, it's kind of nice. The cooldown being 0 obviously is nice, but it's not the biggest thing in the world. It ends up being like fairly useless in fights.
Well, here they come. They brought double catapult. Only the one needs to come in for Koifa to beat into the tier 3 tower. As I said, like once they take the tier 3 tower, then they open up everything else. But the stun goes onto the Alchemist. Hester Joe jumps in as well. Quick 4-star used by Syndra. Just gives Koifa a little bit of extra space. They also Glimmer Cape him up. The Chemical Rage does the healing so quickly. And the healing ward as well. A little bit of overkill to try and stay alive.
It's really tricky to go high ground. Although I guess Baby Knight did pop the Metamorphosis, so they may hang around and try and push whenever that wears off. Didn't really commit too much, just the healing ward, which has a decently long cooldown. It'll still be down for 30 seconds, but they have the Aegis. Quickfa is going to cut midway with those illusions, so they'll be able to hang around this area a little bit more. Top lane is pushing in, but I don't know if they're too worried about that.
They've just got great vision on the bottom lane. That one observer ward that's sitting inside the base just to the south, they see so much with that.
Yeah, that's pretty huge. They know exactly where Ryze is, so not going to be surprised by anything. Ryze is getting his own ward outside of the base there, so seeing whenever NIP approaches the base, not just totally surprised by the whole team on the high ground out of nowhere.
And Nip won't see that unless Hani wants to move a little bit further to the top. They go again for the stomp.
Whoa.
And maybe with the Necro side, it's not enough damage. Koifa will survive, and he's regenerating quickly. Trigger up the Manta, and now beat into the tier 3 tower. So huge amount of commitments from Cloud9, and they did negligible and in fact completely inconsequential damage to Koifa.
Yeah, he has 300 HP regen. That Glimmer Cape actually saved him. He definitely would have died without the Glimmer Cape. That was huge. Although he does have the Aghanims on the Necropro, so the ulti is already back up. So they can try and go on him again.
Oh, that's exactly what they're doing. Stun number 1. Syndra trying to push him away again, but Koifa wants to stay in this. More Manta Style is being triggered off. The Sentry was being planted, so they finally found that Observer Ward.
Yeah, they're going to keep trying to go for this high ground. This is like one of their strongest timings. If they don't go now, then the next time, maybe they don't get the Aegis.
They're backing up for shrines.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea. They want to hang around this area. They don't want to give it up, but getting this shrine just for safety, wait for that healing ward to come up, and potentially get the they want to get the lanes out.
Yep. And there's more access to give. I don't know if we actually called it, but Darkseer was the recipient of the second Aghanim Scepter from the Alchemist.
Okay, so they give me Ogre 3rd, Wyvern 4th. Alright. Sounds okay. As long as they don't give Wyvern before Ogre, I'm fine. The Wyvern's is so bad.
It could actually happen though.
It's so bad.
Just because of the role that Syndra can normally play. But hey, if they give it to him, he's got more life, right?
It's true.
Increase the stats.
It is true. And he actually plays Ogre like every game. What a miserable existence. Just every officially just press EL game.
It's what... Right. Syndra is... He's a man that is happy to make the sacrifice for the team. Many, many times he has done that for his team.
Very noble.
He is a very noble man. At the same time, he says, like, as long as I did everything that I could possibly do best, then I feel like I could walk away with my head held high even if I lose. That's the Syndra approach.
Well, hopefully his head will be able to be held high while winning.
That is always the better alternative.
That is the better alternative.
goes the last shrine outside the base.
The net worth has swung quite a bit the other way. Of course, you know, he's Aghanim, so the net worth is kind of inflated because the Aghanims are like not super useful compared to other items that you would typically go for on, you know, the Darkseer or the Juggernaut, but they are starting to fall a little bit behind on Cloud9.
Oops. Noya missed his stun. With the Shiva's gun, he's lost so much movement speed as well, trying to make a break for the tree line, but he'll go down. 51 seconds without a Slaughter. And Qualifier with more money, he can buy himself a secondary, a third Ag now if he wants to. He's turning for it? No. That's a Demon Edge.
What the heck? What's he buying?
Well, and then he buys the point booster.
Did he misclick? Are those items next to each other?
He's looking for the Monkey King bar to get through the butterfly of the Terrorblade. So I got a funny feeling he's just picking up the point boost now because he's in the neighborhood.
I'll take that as
Interesting.
Because everything else is going to come from the base ship.
Yeah, the Terrorblade actually getting a Diffusal Blade, so trying to fix some of their damage issues.
Well, he found it. It's still the Butterfly Baby Knight. Just used Flutter, stole the Alchemist bounty rune. Qualifier would love to punish him for this, but he needs friends. Right now, he doesn't have any friends. Terrorblade's having a couple more coming around behind him. So the first stun, second stun to Stampede negates a lot of the damage. The Hoof Stomp goes on to Era. So Era's taking too much of the damage, but it's going to leave Hester Joe stranded by himself. There's more teammates coming up through the lane. But Qualifier preparing the concoction. Another stun. Era still has its ultimate available too. And Cloud9 just cut their losses, except the fact the Centaur was dead. Yeah,
after a couple of those more clumsy fights in the mid game, they were doing really, really well. The Terrorblade has continued to farm, but the Necrophos has fallen really far behind. It's just gotten a plate mail and upgraded his Dagon 1 level, sitting just the Dagon 2. His impact is, you know, very much. If they aren't blowing up the Alchemist at the beginning of these fights, then he kind of doesn't really do that much. He can't just walk up in the middle of the fight.
Wow!
Whoa!
Thought he had it. Now he's on the sidelines for 2 minutes, thanks to that Aghanim Scepter. On the run, the Omni Slashes off. He's managed to go through most of the creep wave now into the spin, but minimal damage. In fact, even the Thunder, but the curse, it's over on the Necrophos. He'll go down. A wonderful curse from Hani. Kind of salvages a large portion of this fight. As Noya goes on a hunt, misses on his Blink Crush. Synderin, stun and 4-star TP. No, he's just going to try and leg it.
He's going to get crushed.
He just turned around. It's like he's waiting for the 42-minute rune.
He's trying to juke.
Is he?
He's dead.
That was asshole.
Yeah, he is definitely dead, and that's what they have to do on Cloud9. I think that's why he needs a BKB as well in this Alchemist, so he can just like BKB and run up the hill. Because otherwise he's just going to get blown up like that, and whenever their Alchemist is dead, they have lost half of their net worth as a team, and they just get run down. Cloud9, I think they want to. I mean, they definitely are going to try and force the Alchemist buyback. They're going to take this tier 2, but I think they're content just letting the game continue to tick on. This Necrophos is only going to get stronger. The Juggernaut, you know, once again, it's a hero that doesn't really do very much versus the Terrorblade as the game goes later and later. He's really just the healing ward and backing up this Alchemist.
Noya, slowed down. Juggernaut has his Omni Slash. I don't think he really wants to commit just to kill off a Slaughter. Maybe a little bit more if you realize the Slaughter was walking around with a gem. But here comes the push from Baby Knight. This fight's critical to win, especially as Roshan is only just respawned. So you don't want to lose this and then lose Roshan straight after Necrophos. It was enough to kill off Era. That side doesn't do the work, and now Era's still waiting. Now he lets rip. Wants to kill off Baby Knight. Around the wall, do they have enough damage? The bouncing around between Hesio as well as Baby Knight. Era still cannot do enough damage. It's 11 seconds until Alchemist is up, but he hasn't had to fight back just yet. This is the upside. As long as he has teammates left when they survive, Trixie, he'll get back to base. He'll survive. They don't lose anyone until the scythe will drop. It's over on Era, so he'll fall, but Alchemist, Qualifier is on the front lines, and he'll look to punish them. Letting go of the stun, pulls it back in. The perfect back timing, catching both Rise as well as Ace together. Noya's forced to blink back in again to go for this stun, but there's so many more left. Baby Knight, the Thunder, Qualifier held, actually protected by the Glimmer Cave. He'll turn around once more, looking for the stun onto Baby Knight. The Spinner Blast, slowing him down. Now Concoction flies down, and Qualifier will beat him down. Honey may drop, but it'll be for the greater good if Baby Knight will fall, which he will. The illusions won't do enough. Noya, he'll jump in for the crush. So Alchemist will fall. Trixie and Synderin, they're on the hunt for the kill. But they won't be able to find him. Noya is running away with a Gem of True Sight and will successfully TP to safety. There's still another gem for Nip to regather.
That was very, very risky, reinitiating like that. If the Alchemist hadn't gone down, then that would have been a total disaster. They would have forced buyback from the Terror Blade, his mana would have been down, and they potentially even could have taken 1-2 set of racks for NIP. But as it is, everybody's just going to respawn, nobody's going to buy back, nobody's going to take the risk. They're going to respawn, and Dota's going to go back to usual. And Roche is up, so I think both teams definitely have their eye on that. NIP may try and get it done really quickly before the Metamorphosis comes up. They have a very small window, 30-40 seconds.
And you hit it perfectly, man. Like, if that Alchemist didn't die, Ninjas in Pyjamas would have been in such a great position. That's what I was worried about when I saw that Roshan was dying just before the fight began. I was like, you can't lose the fight. If you do, you lose out too much. But both teams kind of lost evenly at the end of it all.
Yeah, I think Cloud9 are okay with that. They got a couple of kills. The Necrophos almost up to his Shivas after that. So, gonna be considerably tankier. The Alchemist went for the -5 Acid Spray armor. So, everybody's armor goes down by 17 with that. Or no, okay, no, it's not 17. It's added in with the talents. Okay, so 12. Everybody's armor goes down by 12 in the Acid Spray. And combine that with the Concoction, the Juggernaut, whose right clicks aren't amazing, but they're something. This Necrophos is dying very, very quickly in these fights. That'll slow that down considerably, I think.
That Radiant Vision. The Observer is right on top of the Ancients. So they can see all these TPs arriving. And it's bail time. Did they actually see it? Like with the Gem of True Sight, I don't think they see it. Okay, yeah, now they do. I don't think Hani actually... I don't know if he attacked a move when he did that just then and then accidentally attacked the Observer Ward. It was perfectly hidden behind the Ancients.
Yeah, I don't know. Huh. Round 3 is the same thing that's happened. This time they're not going to just commit into the Roshan. They're going to try and smoke around. Do they have one? Somebody drew the line. Oh yeah, they have one on Rise. Looks like they're not going to take the direct brute force approach. This has not worked the past couple of times. You know, wisen up and look to be more crafty. They haven't killed that Winter Wyvern at the start of the fight since the bottom. He's, you know, definitely improved his positioning quite a bit since they had that catastrophic fight down bottom. I think they definitely want to blow him up with that wraparound smoke. You saw Noya draw the line.
Might be a little bit more difficult when Hani picks up his next item. He's still holding on to 4.6k.
Gracious.
A lot of money. Same thing for the Alchemist though. Like, the Alchemist walking around with a huge amount. He dropped his armlet to actually have the Monkey King bar.
What did the smoke break on for Ace? I don't actually see what it broke on. That was crazy. He like blinked here. Maybe like caught somebody running up or something like that.
Did he attack?
I don't... Maybe. I didn't see him attack.
Well, the Pyjamas are still winning around.
They're just sitting on that.
Smoke themselves, and they're ramping all the way around through the north. The line is drawn so they can go around through the secret shop and come out the other side. If the smoke breaks when they're coming close to those, someone's inside of Roshan, and Baby Knight is. But do Cloud9 realize what's happening? It's the full wraparound. A fresh Observer.
Oh, that's
planted.
such a good
They
ward.
see them. Now the Concoction plant goes down. Rubik is there. Will he go down quickly? Rise wants to escape back out again. A back wall, pulling Baby Knight Noya back into the engagement for Trixie. He has to disengage, but there's your curse. It's all on top of the Slaughter. He's dropping quickly, and he'll actually die to the curse of the Omni Slash. It's solo on the Necrophos. He'll push himself back up next to Baby Knight, so the Omni Slash doesn't do enough work, but Trixie's in there. He'll do the work. A buyback in from the Slaughter, but Baby Knight perma-stunned practically. With all the slow, with all the Darkseer illusions fighting for them, Ninjas in Pyjamas come out on top, and they're making a break for the mid. No Necro for 70 seconds, no buyback. They just get the buyback out from the Terrorblade.
Yeah, both teams had the same idea, but Cloud9 just didn't see it coming.
No Metamorphosis available. Era can just work his way through the rack, even just defensively spinning while he does this.
Yeah,
and NIP have the option, they can rotate down towards the bottom. There's no tier 3 tower.
Yeah, he has the MKB on Alchemist, so he actually hits a lot harder than most Alchemists will at this stage. And Necro has no buyback, no meta on TV. They're not in a great position to defend this Rax.
Quoth is just trying to finish the Rax. Doesn't even care about the heroes. If anyone wants to come in close, I'd be happy to concoct him. But it's more space creation than anything else. And Hani's waiting too. How long? 7 seconds till Curse is up. Synderen jumps forward, able to get that long stun over on the Slardar, but it's all about the Terrorblade. If they can bring him down again, the curse is on him, but it's only Rise and Neuer attacking into him. That's not enough damage, but the isolated heads of Joe. Hero committing the Diffusal Blade charge means the Centaur is down. He committed all of his money to buy that refresher orb before, hence there is no buyback available. But Ninjas in Pyjamas not aware of this. They still have a Roshan to claim, and then they could just go through top, secure the victory that way.
Yeah, they're going to play it safe. No need to rush it. They've got 2 sets of racks, which with Cloud9's heroes is pretty hard to deal with. They don't particularly have super fast lane pushers. It just takes the Necrophil several seconds of pulsing over and over again to kill the wave. The Terrorblade has to beat it down with multiple illusions. And the rest of the heroes are, reasonably mediocre at killing the wave. I think Centaur is one of the better heroes, but with that Aegis taken, the ball is definitely in NIP's court. They can kind of do whatever they want on the map. Look for pickoffs. They can, push. They just have to be very, very careful whenever they're going up to this high ground, because Cloud9 for sure is all going to be standing around this tier 3 tower. Whenever you're fighting into shrines, if you get even just the littlest bit over aggressive, everything turns on its head.
Calm before the storm.
Yeah, finishing up whatever small items they're going to get. A refresher orb on the Darkseer, so potentially 2 massive Terrorblade illusions could be pretty huge.
Well, that's a nice thing for Qualifier to find. Arcane Rune.
Oh, wow.
Non-stop chemical rage, concoctions, whatever you want.
Yeah, Lotus Orb on Winter Wyvern as well. Almost a Lotus Orb on Ogre. They're really bulking up on the armor, so this Terrorblade is not going to be able to cut through people like he has in the past couple of fights with these, several armor items coming online. And going to get vacked all over the place with this refresher. He isn't actually buying it. I guess saving gold for buyback because he's a little bit... no, he does have enough money. Huh.
Wait, did it happen? Did it just happen? No, he gave it...
Did he...
He bought another axe.
He bought it for himself before Ogre.
Did he? Oh, yeah, he consumed it himself. What a greedy bastard.
The stats aren't even that good, man. Give it to your Ogre.
Synderen is not allowed to have nice things.
Synderen wants 4 buttons instead of 3, dude.
That's more than his daily quota.
3 buttons a day keeps the doctor away.
Alright, so push through top. Era's pushing down the lane now. Full Mjolnir is completed. He'll pick up his butterfly on the way through. In fact, I'm assuming the courier's got the other... Yeah, the courier's got the other part of it. So it drops the phase boot. So Mr. No Boots Era will have to use the flutter effect to keep running forward. A defensive scan from Ninjas in Pyjamas, just in case Cloud9 have any wraparound shenanigans to work with.
Yeah, he has the MKB completed on the Terrorblade. I think he did last fight as well, but...
He did.
Yeah.
He's holding onto his Diffusal Blade recipe in case he needs that when he buys back. But for now, just pushing Era further and further away. Quoif will be the man who's protected by both the Lincoln Sphere as well as the Lotus Orb when he wants to run in.
Yeah, they pop Metamorphosis on the Terrorblade, so they may just wait that out and then go high ground afterwards.
Good timing for it too. The courier is making his trip out, so Ninjas in Pyjamas needed a little bit longer. It's bringing the refresher orb for Trixie.
Yeah, they're going to wait for the refresher orb. Once the Metamorphosis wears down, that's sort of the issue with Terrorblade whenever you're defending high ground like this. He can, has the great range, can shoot from a mile away with the Dragonlance combined with the Metamorphosis, but if he has to pop that ult and you can back up.
Juggernaut, losing half of his life. Lincoln Sphere trying to protect him once again. Era does back up. But yeah, there we go. Metamorphosis is down. So an 85-second window has now appeared for Ninjas in Pyjamas.
Yeah, they still have the potential to blow up this Winter Wyvern if he gets a little bit out of position, but he's staying way far in the back. Darkseer, the same position. It's just Quickfire and Arrow walking up front. They're doing this no-risk Dota, and I don't know if Cloud9 really have a counterplay for it. They kind of have to wrap around, but it's too late for that. They can see all their heroes in the base.
Yeah, they're committed, and especially when Heston Joe misses the Horse Stomp. They don't have the extra stun, the back wall. His baby down as well as Neuer. Trixie wants to go again, pulling back in for the second ball, and then the curse is down on top of Neuer. Then to try and take the Slardar out of this game if it's possible, while the Omni Slash being used on top of Ace. He can go into Ghost form, so that's mostly wasted by Era. And no one falls out of all of this. Not even a single buyback coming out of all of that. Such a heavy commitment.
He did use both Centaur ultis, though.
They did. and they're losing their tier 4 towers. The bottom lane's pushing in with double catapults. Someone's going to eventually go down there for it, but then with a double edge of the Hoof Stomp, they break the Aegis Immortal. Again, however, Cloud9 pulled into these Darkseer walls, a concoction creating space onto Baby Knight. The range rack's protected by the fortification. It didn't come up in time to protect that melee racks, but Qualifier trying to do the most he can just to force up the Megas while there's a fight happening outside the base. Qualifier is 1v2ing this fight split into multiple parts, but I think Cloud9 are going to accept the inevitable soon. Yes, you just lost the Alchemist for the Necro, but you're up against Megas. They need to find some kills and then just force some level of pushback. It's the only way this ends well for him.
Yeah, it's just a matter of time before everybody respawns and then walks back toward the base.
They found Error. Joe, Hoof Stomp, yeah, sort of nice, but kind of just reveals Error. Baby Knight is Noyan taking way too much damage, so Baby Knight has to go in for the Sunder. At least you know when the Juggernaut comes out,
those 12 slashes!
He was low because of the Sunder, but never really felt the pain of it. Now Ace will jump in, the Scythe will drop. Juggernaut's down, but Ace may have committed himself way too heavy to try and find that kill. Quoipa's back to the front lines after the fireback. They'll wait it out, and well, you can Dagon down an extra one, but Ace still on the run, still a pest, but still dead.
Yeah, buybacks on both the Terrorblade and the Centaur. They're going to try and defend the high ground. They're not going to give up yet, as this does mean they're going to have to play a lot more games, most probably, or at least a few more, as it'll put them even with NIP, I believe. But it's looking pretty grim. Quaipa pops the ult, going to continue to go to work with like 15,000 buffs on him.
He's only got 3,000 life. That's doable. Except when Joe gets multicast stunned up. Might be easier for Cinder if he had that extra 4th stun ability, but hey, it's not possible for him. A Terrorblade locked in the Darkseer wall. Really painful as well because he's basically dying to himself, and finally the call comes out. GG is it. Ninjas in Pyjamas will take the victory over Cloud9. And I will double check the standings as well. Just to see.
Yeah, the game was quite back and forth, but there were a couple of fights, those Roshan fights in particular, that went really, really poorly for Cloud9. A couple of these tier 2 fights. There was one in particular, I can't remember where it was, but it went extremely poorly for Cloud9, and whenever your Necrophos just starts falling off on items like that, the Terrorblade starts falling behind, and you actually give the space for the Juggernaut and the Darkseer to catch back up. You're suddenly 3 cores versus 2, and these Centaurs that are normally massively game-changing, you know, they're not particularly good against NIP's lineup. They don't have they don't have the necessity to jump in and kill some hero and just blow them up. They're all about this damage over time, slowly killing heroes, saving heroes, these long, drawn-out fights. And the Centaur's not particularly good versus that.
Alright, I double-checked on the scoreboard for it all. So Ninjas in Pyjamas with that victory and now leveled up with Bears. There's only one team which is above both of them, and that is Team Secret. But with a 6-2 result, I am almost positive, in fact, I am positive that they have guaranteed themselves at least a tiebreaker for the top 4, if not guaranteed themselves a top 3 position. So Elements with that go 4-4. They require Alliance to lose both of their remaining games, and Alliance play up against Pro Dota and 4P5.
Wait, who is 4-4?
4-4 is Cloud9.
Okay.
They won 4 and they lost 4.
So it's most likely going... Does EPG play Alliance?
EPG's last game for the day is up against Cloud9.
So if Alliance wins their games, they're in.
If Alliance win their games, they are 100% in. And nothing will actually change that. If Alliance win both their games, with Ninjas in Pyjamas results as well...
then nothing can change that.
Yeah. They both end with... Because NIP also have, I believe, one more game. Yeah, they play up against Bears. That's actually what's coming up on the stream next. So, small little tussle between the second position. So if NIP lose that, then they have the 3 losses to their name, and that gives only one team a chance to defeat them for a 4th position, and that's Elements Pro. They're the only other team that can potentially go against them, if I'm reading this correctly.
So Elements Pro still has a chance, even if Alliance wins both their games.
Man, Elements has played 8 of their games, and I'm still looking at the schedule. I'm not seeing an Elements game in the schedule.
Yeah.
Who are they playing? We can check it out. Oh, no, there we go. Cloud9. What am I talking about? It's the Cloud9 versus Elements Pro game.
Yeah, so Cloud9 is basically out.
Yep.
Elements Pro, they have to. They
So
might play
if
tiebreakers with.
Nip lose to Bears, Elements Pro must win against Cloud9 to force a
Tiebreaker.
over the 4th position, and that'll go between Nip as well as Elements.
Or Nip or Elements and Bears.
Or no, Bears can't drop down that far.
Wait, how many losses to Bears?
Like Bears would only have like one more loss if that happened, and then it would end up being both of them being 6-3. But it would still cause this weird kind of scenario where. Actually, no, yeah, that'll be possible.
They play the tiebreaker against either.
Yeah, you could actually force a 4-way. Oh god, that'd be disgusting.
Please don't let that happen.
Yeah, that could be very, very disgusting. Either way, there's still a chance for everyone that's not for Protect 5 right now. That's a horrible way to put it, but yeah, there's still a bit of contest. Team Secret's the only one guaranteed top 4, but Ninjas in Pyjamas and Bears are looking pretty damn good with that victory from Nip.
Alright.
Alright, break time. 3 more rounds. 3 more rounds for the European matches, and then we'll see what we've got as far as the tiebreakers to go. Yeah, we'll see you guys in a bit.